Yehi Ratzon Parashat Terumah. Yehi Ratzon, the learning should be Lefuat Kol HaCholim. Uvetocham Tanya Bat Odom Magalit Yosef Yair Ben Aviv Chava. Harav Simon Ben Sima Lea Bat Metel Betoch Kol Shar Chol Yisrael. We're zocha this week that Roni could join the shir with us. So we might have to pause in the middle if we have to put her back in the stroller. But right now she's being amazing and joining us. We're getting to Purim in 10 days. Last week we started to prepare. And in our preparation, we saw that in the war of Amalek, the hands of Moshe are the center. And the Midrash says, do you think that Moshe's arms did the war? No. When the Jewish people looked at his arms, they won. And when they didn't look, they lost. So said the Sfat Emet last week, 3 questions. Question number 1, why Davka here do they ask the question? Why did they ask when Moshe split the sea, can Moshe's arms do a war? The second question was, yes, Moshe's arms are incredible and they could do miracles. And the third question was, if Moshe knows that by putting down his arms, one of the Jews can die, he would never put his arms down. So comes the Sfat Emet and says, you don't really understand. The whole idea of this Midrash is totally different. The idea of the Midrash was to come and say that if we can understand Moshe's arms differently, then we can understand the war against Amalek differently. And then the whole story becomes different. And he says like this, Aval hakol haya talui b'achanat b'nei Yisrael. Says the Sfat Emet, you have to understand what the Midrash is saying is that Moshe was irrelevant. The Midrash is saying, Davka in the war against Amalek, you might have thought that the leader will win and that the leader will lead. And you might have thought that the winning of the war is going to be connected to the leadership of Moshe Rabbeinu. Comes the Midrash and says, Moshe's arms are influenced and affected by the eyes of Am Yisrael. It's not that the leader is leading the people, but the people are leading the leaders. And the leaders are a mirror of the people. They are a reflection of the people. And therefore, when Am Yisrael would look up, it wasn't that Moshe decided to raise his arms. It was a reflection of the people. And when he put his arms down, he didn't decide to put his arms down. It was a reflection of the level that we were on. Our leaders do not lead us. Our leaders are not the ones to control us. Our leaders are not the ones that look and say, we are the top and you are the bottom, but we are the bottom. And we are saying to you, you're the top. The people are the top. We're a nation that says that we do not need individual leadership. And that when we might have thought that Moshe could lead us, the idea of the war against Amalek was to say, Am Yisrael, you have to understand, Moshe will not solve your problems. And he will not lead you. He will reflect who you are. He will reflect the concept that Am Yisrael is not led by individuals, rather led by individuals who enable others to realize that they are the center of the picture. And so when we look at this, he says even more, Bnei Yisrael nosim et nisiehem. The idea of our nisiim is they are nisaim. They are being carried by us. And if you look at a leader and you see something that you don't like, it's not because of the leader, but it's because of the people. The people messed up. And so the war against Amalek, we know who do they fight against? Vayizanev becha kol hanecheshalim acharecha. They want to divide the people. They wanted to say, you're Moshe, you're Avram, you're Yaakov, and I'll fight you as individuals. And we come and we fight by raising Moshe's arms and saying, we are not a nation of individuals. We are not a leadership of individuals. We are realizing that an individual is nothing. And even Moshe Rabbeinu is realizing that he is not the center. And what he is saying is that I am willing for the people to understand, realize, and recognize that they need to know that we are not a nation of people that stand alone. The necheshalim are you. And if someone's falling, you're falling. And therefore, if we look in the celebration of Purim, we'll see something incredible. The idea of the leadership of Purim is that there is no leader. Mordechai could have won the war alone, but he says to Esther, go there. And Esther could have won the war alone, but she says to Mordechai, go there. It's a leadership, a dual leadership, that each one says, I can't do it alone. And then she says, but Mordechai, I can't do this by myself. And Mordechai says to Esther, I can't do it by myself. And the leadership of Purim is a leadership that comes and says, anyone who wants to lead alone is not a leader. Anyone who thinks that they can affect the world by themselves is not in our picture. And therefore, if you look at the mitzvot of Purim, there's something incredible. Oritan, we were asking, what's the secret of Purim? And I said to Oritan, if you think about the 4 mitzvot of Purim, there's something miraculous. The mitzvot of Purim are Mishloch, Manot, Matanot, Lev, Yonim, Mishteh, and Mikra Megillah. And if we look at all these mitzvot, we realize something amazing. The only way to accomplish them is with someone else. Mishloch, Manot, you need someone to give to. Matanot, Lev, Yonim, you need poor people to give them the money. Mishteh, you need people to sit with you. And Mikra Megillah, you need 10 people to say the bracha. So if you go to an island and you're really spiritual and you're feeling really close to God and you think you're Moshe Rabbeinu and you think you could lead the generation, you can't have Purim. Purim is the mitzvah of realizing that you need someone else. And you are nothing without someone else. And you can be everything and at the same time be nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can lead you out of Mitzrayim, but without you, I don't want to lead. I don't want to be in this book if it's not our book. It's not my book. It's not my story. It's our story. I had the zchut yesterday to be at a championship game for the 3rd time in the history of the school in Orach Chaim in Toronto. Baruch Hashem, Roni is excited. And we were at the championship game, and we weren't zocheh to win it. We lost it by 1 point. And I said to my students that 5 minutes before the game ended, I was crying. Not only after the game, I was crying. Why was I crying 5 minutes before the game ended? Because I looked in the crowd and there were 100 students who felt like they were part of the game. They looked at every 3-pointer as it was their 3-pointer. They looked at the slam dunk as it was their slam dunk. They looked at the pain of someone else scoring or whatever it was as if it was their fault. So the team made the school into champions. Championship is what Amalek teaches. Amalek teaches you need to succeed. You need to win. You need to score. We say to Amalek, our leaders, our teams that come and say, I don't want to win alone. I want a school of 100 people to feel like they are linked to my dribbling. And if you think about it, just the last point, we know that the mitzvot of Purim all have a mem, but maybe the word mitzvah, according to the Zohar, comes from the word savta. The idea of every mitzvah is that you're not alone. When you do a mitzvah, you become friends with Hashem. You do a mitzvah of kimud orim, you become linked to your parents. But if you don't have a link, you do not have an identity. And if you do not have connection, you do not have purpose. So our bracha, when we get closer into Purim, is that maybe the whole idea of getting drunk is not about alcohol, but about realizing that ad delo yada means you are not able to win the war by yourself. Give the idea of assist someone else. Recognize that someone else is assisting you, and that the picture of living and leading a life for yourself is not a Jewish picture. Shabbat Shalom.